So we're always staying on top of the trends here at Kittl, and one of those trends is risograph designs. Now this is specifically a risograph poster. I'll flash through some examples right here of risograph artwork, but basically as you can see here in this, there's some shapes here, and this circle is essentially pink and the triangle is purple, and then when they overlay they create another color. And so there's a lot of fun things that you can do. The shapes there, it's almost kind of like risograph combined with like Scandinavian artwork, where it's very like sparsed out and there may be some like minimalistic text. It's very grid-like, and we would definitely will be utilizing the grids in Kittl to make this today. Funny thing, after we ordered this poster, I actually deleted the file. So I don't have the original file, so all fine and good. Kittl's great, and I'm going to be recreating this poster from scratch with you now. So the first thing that I'm gonna do with my 16 by 20 artboard is I don't really love super just flat white backgrounds, and most printers are pretty good at getting that light colored background going. If you want to choose like a slight off-white, that's what I'm gonna do here. Next, I'm gonna set up some grids and some guidelines. We have our lovely rulers here, as you can see. If you're, just now seeing this after we updated our UI, the right panel now is locked, and so is the left panel. If you click elements and stuff like that, it jets out. We have had some people say like, oh, why is it's not collapsible now? Well, this is actually better for you, and I promise that it's better. You just have to get used to it. Having the things on the left and the right locked just makes the workflow a lot better, and I promise having those rulers and those guides are gonna be very helpful for you. So the first thing I'm gonna do is click Command apostrophe, and that's gonna bring up some grids for me. Now, what I have to do is define in this what grid lines I wanna use. And so I think I'm gonna go 2 squares in. If this is too difficult to look at, you can come up to your settings and let's just double that and go to 80, which would mean that it's now 1 square instead of 4 that would sit within that. Now I'm gonna come over to my ruler and I'm going to pull some guides down. And as you can see, as I hit each of these lines, it actually does a really great job of snapping into place. So that's really great for accuracy, and you won't have to have a lot of lines, just a couple pixels wrong here and a couple pixels wrong there over the course of a lot of artboards. It could cause you some trouble. So I would just make sure that you can see that that guide is snapping into place. Let's say you drag one, you don't like where it is, you can just click it and drag it again. And or if you want to delete it, you can just click and delete it. Another cool thing is that grids and guidelines can actually work across artboards. One, if you have created a new artboard from one that has grids and guides, it will keep it with it. But let's say you have one right here and one right here and you didn't copy it over. What you can do is drag down a guide, and if you drop it anywhere that's on the blank canvas, not on an artboard, it will actually stay blue across the entire project. So I can do that here. Let's say I had an artboard down here and I wanted to have my nice grid line here. That would work as well. But for the most part, I like to have my grid lines stay within the artboard. And this is helpful because now I can just click Command apostrophe and get rid of that ugly grid in the middle. Used to, before, you have to keep that on while you're designing, turn it off, on, off, on, off, on, to make sure that you were still within your grid, if you didn't want to look at it the entire time. But I like to use the grid to draw my ruler lines, and then I can just get rid of it. It's as simple as that. Now, specifically for the risograph elements, if you go to the elements panel and you type in risograph, you will find all of these very, very nice shapes that you can see mostly consist of 3 colors and a combination of the 2 outer colors somewhere in between. Some of them might have 3 colors and then you get a 4th and a 5th. Some are complex, some are very simple. And so for this poster, I believe I used this one. And what I can do is size that to my guides right there, and it'll actually snap to the guidelines that I dropped. So not only are they there visually, but they're functional too. So I can, scale things down and actually snap them into place. And I think on the poster, this was slightly smaller. So that's what I would do, is put it up in the left and then scale it up towards that corner. Now we've got some lovely, lovely risograph shapes. Now at this point, some of you might be asking, will the guidelines show up in my final export? No, they will not. They are just there to show you what you have portioned out grid-wise on the artboard. I promise you'll be fine. They will not show up in your export. You don't need to delete them before you export. They can stay on. That would be quite a pain, wouldn't it? Having to delete and then re-put your guides and then delete and re-put your guides if you needed to iterate on stuff. So they will not show up on your final export. Now I'm going to come down here and hit T and then add some type. I'm pretty sure I used Neuhaus Grotesque for this. And I just used some simple text here and I typed in balance. I believe on the poster that I showed, this was actually all caps, but I kind of like this being title case a little bit better. It's a little bit more Scandinavian to me, a little bit more mid-century. And so I really, really like this title case here. Now, I like this, but it's missing a little something. Just a little bit balance-wise is off. And if I have a poster that says balance on it, I should probably balance things out. So what I did for this, this is my center text, so it's center aligned. This is my other text. Then I'm going to pull it over here, boop, let it snap to my guide. And then I'm going to size it down. And now whatever text I put in here is going to be left aligned. So I could put Kittl right here. Let's make sure that I have, let's maybe do these in all caps. Something about this that feels off to me is that since this text is bigger, this is a principle that you could take into many styles of design. That's not just, this. Since this text is bigger, naturally, the lines are thicker. This is not a thicker font, but because the text is bigger, naturally, the stroke of that text is going to be larger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this smaller text box, and I'm going to actually up the font weight of that. That might actually look a little too thick, so I'm going to size it down. And then I need to space out those letters just a tad, maybe a little bit more until it looks good. And now something like that looks a lot better and more balanced and just not as weak to me. So now I can copy this over here, right justify that, maybe zoom in a little bit to help me see, double click 2025. And then I think on the poster I had like a copyright glyph, which if you come over here in the right text panel, you can just hit glyphs and boom, there it is right there. And there is my finished Risograph poster. I really, really wish that I actually printed this one instead of the one that I showed in the beginning because this actually looks better. Just goes to show you that if you sit with your designs for maybe more than a day before you print them, they'll probably end up looking a lot better. Another feature that I'd like to highlight here is the replace tool. And this tool is just such a heavy lifter. Even if we gave it the most credit in the world, it still wouldn't get enough credit because it is just so clutch. So basically the replace tool allows you to select an element that's on the artboard, immediately with one click replace it with another asset while keeping the same size and color. So I can click replace, boom, another shape is going to take that initial asset's place with the same size and color. Now it's going to be a little bit different if you do something that's, not the same size or is radically different height-wise. It's going to probably take its best guesstimation. If I'm doing something like this that takes up a square amount of space, I'm going to look for an asset that takes up a square amount of space. I'm not going to give the replace feature the hardest time in the world to try to replace what I want it to replace. With this, that did a really good job, as best as it could do, because it's not actually square, and then you can just adjust from there. Or something like this, it did a great job. You could do this, maybe duplicate this, give it a little spin, and then size it down. So there's a lot of very, very, very cool possibilities with this art style. It's very geometric. I find that it just really gives you the proper guidelines to actually play. If you actually had no guidelines and you had limitless possibilities, there's actually a lot of fear and anxiety when it comes to designing in that. But when you have the proper guidelines, like even a sandbox has walls, that's when you actually find the most freedom. Is I have my guides, I say that this is my work area. I have one big square and one small square, and I'm just gonna, swap out some elements until I find the thing that looks right. That's where I would find the most freedom. Now, what you can also do, if you don't like those colors, is select either just those shapes, or you can select the entire artboard, but I don't want it to manipulate my back color or my text color. You can go here and browse color palettes, and you can find something that you like more instead. Like, I love this red color, looks super sick, and I might need to zoom in here and just make sure that that's sized up to where those touch. And that is a sick poster. And that color palette and that replace tool is gonna make it very easy to make multiple of these. I could just copy these artboards over. They've already got the guides with them. And then, just select these colors, browse different color palettes, go into my elements panel, have them selected, and replace the different assets. And then boom, you've got 10 posters in 10 minutes. You can list them, do whatever you want with them. The world is essentially yours. So that has been the Risograph trend, artwork style, if you will. Go ahead and leave a comment and a like down below if you haven't already. Do you like this trend? Do you think that it's a little dated? Is this kind of old style trend coming back? We would love to hear your thoughts and opinions, and we try our best to answer every single comment as well. If you're not already subscribed to the Kittl YouTube channel, make sure that you do that. Hit that subscribe button so you can be in on the fun, so that you can see all of these trends. Rest assured, I guarantee you that you at some point are going to see something that you've never thought about that is going to fuel inspiration or help you along your design journey. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.